about the idea of dreams. Dreams are things that people have on a nightly basis. Most people don't even remember the dreams. We are told that, we're told by doctors that we dream all the time. People don't even realize it, don't remember it. But dreams have a very special place in the Torah, and a very special place when it comes to the coming Moshiach. Because if you guys probably say this every so often when we whoever washes, whoever benches when you eat bread. So see, when we say right before benching on Shabbos, we say Psalm number 126. So we say Shir HaMalos, the song of ascents. When the Lord will return the exiles of Zion, Hayinu kecholmin, we will have been like dreamers. Hayinu kecholmin. You guys all familiar with this? You're familiar with this, yeah? You guys know this, yeah? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So King David is writing this. He's saying that when Moshiach comes, we're going to return to Israel, to Zion, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called here, and we will be like we were dreaming. What does that mean exactly? What does that mean? So it means that, all the time we were not returned to Israel, we were in a state of more like a dream state. Dreams are very special. We find the Torah talks a lot about dreams. I mean, look at Yaakov Avinu had a dream. He had several dreams. A dream of a ladder. Yosef Tzaddik dreams is a constant dreamer. Pare has a dream. Avraham Avinu has dreams. So I want to talk about something interesting about dreams. You have to be careful when you have a dream. You have to be careful who interprets it for you. Because there's something there's a very interesting field at the Torah that we find Talmudically, and it's called Poser. We say in Hebrew the word is called Poser. So Poser. Poter means it means to interpret, right? Pitaron, a pisaron. So we would say a pisaron is we write like a pisaron. A pisaron would mean no. That would be that's also a solution, right? That's true. So, but the root of the word is not so much solution, but it's more interpretation. Liftor, we also say liftor tabayot, right? Right, but really the word really the real meaning of the word is to interpret, to somehow redeem or interpret, figure out a dream. So that's why we use it also liftor tabayot, like to resolve something. But really it's resolving of a dream. Really is the main usage of the word. The Gemara tells us that the interpreter of the dream is very powerful. It's very powerful because if he interprets the dream, and then the one who interprets it can actually change the direction that the dream is going. Meaning to say that if the interpretation is accepted and it's a negative interpretation, it could be a prophecy, and that interpretation might actually cause that the dream is a prophetic vision. Someone just asked me now in my office about it says that Moshe Rabbeinu when he had prophecies, he was like awake, his eyes were open, he was talking to Hashem directly, but all the other prophets would be sleeping most of the time. All the other prophets would be sleeping. Their prophecies came in the form of dreams, and the reason for that was because their physical bodies were not vessels to the physical minds and bodies were not vessels to be able to handle the godly revelations, to understand it. So they would have to turn all the other channels have to be turned off. They'd have to go to sleep, and it would be a dream, kind of like a dream type of a thing, where they would see things while their conscious mind would be sleeping, and their body would be lost. They would, it says like they would kind of lose themselves physically. Moshe Rabbeinu had complete composure because his physical body or his mind and heart were not a contradiction. They were able to be vessels for this light. But other prophets would be dreaming, and the dream was a prophecy.
But isn't it like if someone interprets your dream a certain way, but it's already meant to be what's going to happen? So how can they change?
Right, that's the thing. It's so awesome. It's such a. I'll tell you the truth. I don't know why I'm even saying this. I don't understand it myself. I don't like to share things I don't understand, but it's so weird. I really feel like I agree with Gila. I don't understand. In other words, we find Talmudically that, even biblically, that if the dream, now not all dreams are prophecies, by the way. So if you last night dreamed that whatever dream it was. You were in Kmart and bought something. I don't know. So that could be
Nowadays,
really
most
really
of our dreams are like
right. So most dreams. So we are told that most dreams are not prophecies. Most dreams are just leftover letters that you were thinking throughout the day, and those thoughts are letters. People don't realize, but we speak in letters, osios. We also think in letters. Most people don't realize that you think in a language. So you might not realize, but if for example, if you were born in America and you moved to Russia or Israel and you speak Hebrew and you speak Russian and you speak whatever language you speak, you might not realize when you think you're thinking in English. You're probably thinking in your
Speak the language more.
unless you've been there so long.
that's not true.
Yeah, it is true. Now,
I'm trilingual, and like it depends which language I'm speaking.
Okay, no, but
I don't think in Russian for sure because my Russian is not even good anymore.
So let me explain what I'm trying to say.
I don't know.
You don't realize it. You see, people think that when you're thinking, most people don't think of any languages. Right now, I'm thinking about a pink elephant, flying in the sky, whatever. So when you're thinking that, you don't think of the word elephant or the word pink or the word sky. You're just thinking of images, right? So isn't it? Wouldn't you think that thoughts are just universal? It's not in any language at all, right? Wouldn't you think so? If you're thinking an image, why is that a language? Well, guess again. Because those images are formed by letters. You don't realize it. But subliminally or subconsciously, all thoughts are letters. And the letters form pictures. You just don't realize that they actually are letters. Yes, it is, because even if they're not literate, even if they can't read a language, but they can communicate in a language. So
they don't know letters. They don't.
Yeah, there are a lot of people on the street today who can't read. They can't read in the language, or just but they speak a language, so they might not necessarily recognize the form of the language, of the form of the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever language it is. But they use those letters, so those letters are being used by them. They might not identify them in print, but they're thinking it.
Well, they see them, but they know that letters exist in America.
Right, exactly what I'm saying.
But if they're in a third world country and they've never even seen letters in their whole life.
Yeah, but do they talk in any language?
It's just sounds to them.
Right, but they make sounds.
But could they signs on stores.
Right, but could they say like the bathroom, please? Could they say that?
They could say that.
Then the bathroom is a word for them, and there's
but
sound.
It's sound. Their brain doesn't.
Fine, but those sounds are letters. But those sounds are letters. They may not recognize the images of letters, but they're letters, right? They are letters, right?
How do you qualify to be an interpreter?
Okay, so let's go back to that. So
Who qualifies as an
Okay.
interpreter?
okay, anyone. So here's the thing. So there are some types of dreams that are considered prophetic dreams. How do I know if I had a prophetic dream? Well, there are some dreams that are very meaningful to you, and sometimes it's a very powerful, meaningful dream. It might be a prophecy. It might be a message. It might be some sort of a message from above. People, a lot of people, maybe even people over here in the room, I can tell you I've had also types of things like that, where I could say where something happened weird, So one of the things about how do I know if it's a prophetic dream? Well, one of the giveaways there's one giveaway I could say it usually would be yeah. So one of the giveaways is if you see an image of a tzaddik in your dream, like the Rebbe. Usually, if it would just be leftover thoughts that are kind of rolling around in your brain and you're imagining things at night because your seichel is turned off, but since that's your animal soul that's doing these things, it usually wouldn't focus on a tzaddik so much.
What
So
about like a person who passed away? Like not like.
Okay, so again, it's a person who passed away. If it was, again, you have to realize what I was trying to say before was that when you think, people think usually at night they're going to think about things that they thought about during the daytime. So if you were like really, really going crazy about your taxes or something, you might see numbers of taxes. You might dream about the IRS knocking at the door. I don't know, in other words, because those thoughts are going to linger. Those oisias, those letters that created those images are lingering there, and it's going to and it might come into your mind at some point of the night. Most of the dreams, of course, we know scientifically people forget. They're not that meaningful. People forget them, but if you see a relative in your dream, it could be you thought about them in the past. It could be that or it could be that it was really a message. It could be it was a prophecy. It's very possible.
Isn't it?
It's not.
If you want to know if it's true or if it's prophecy, so then if you have it more than three times.
Okay, so they say we find. So Leah said we do find in various stories that they're like, like the famous story of, I don't know if you guys, the famous story of Sefer Zechronos, a really awesome story that there was a woman that lost her husband. She was relatively not that old. She wasn't that old, but she lost her husband young, and she was Elman. She was a widow, and she had a dream. Her father came to her in a dream and said that there's an old 90-year-old man who lives here, and I want you to marry him. There's an old 90-year-old guy. He was from Spain or from Portugal. He was a Portuguese Garush, which means he left Spain in the Inquisitions, and his name was Yosef Yuspa.
This is her father.
No. This was an old 90-year-old guy who came to live in Poland, and no one knew it. And people knew he was just people thought he was kind of a holy man, but he was very old and all by himself. And this young woman she had lost her husband. She was young, and she probably couldn't got remarried to anyone. And then her father came to her in a dream and said, this match is made in heaven. I want you to marry this guy. And she's like, who is it? His name is Yosef Yusba. So she didn't really make anything of it. But then she had the dream 3 times. And then he says, he was like, the third time he was like, it's a really serious matter. If not, you're like something really serious and really threatening. And she ran to the bed din in tears. And the same day, Yosef Yusba comes to the bed din to get married. And he's a great Kabbalist. She ended up getting married to him. And they had a child. Her son was named Eliyahu Baal Shem. He was the first Baal Shem, who the first Kabbalist. There's people who call him the Baal Shem and Baal Shem Tov. So this was the son. This boy that she gave birth to was the first Baal Shem, going back to the early 1600s. So it's a weird story, right? So
he was 90.
I don't know. I mean, he was old. He was an old person. It was weird. I'm not. The point is that we're just trying to bring an example. Yes, it's true that Leah as well. 3 times a dream. We do kind of find that there is. Yeah, there is some proof to what you're saying. There is some validity to what you're saying. But I want to say something else. I want to define. I want to talk about more the. So when it comes to the pitaron, to be a poiser chalomus. So Leah says, well, who could be poiser on chalom? Well, we look in the Gemara. There's a lot of evidence in the Talmud that says what things represent in dreams. Well, if you see an elephant, then miracles are gonna happen to you. If you see this, if you see water, if you see a white donkey, or this, it's also there's a bunch of things in the Talmud that it's in list things. What if you see this in a dream, it means this. If you see something else, it means something else. One of the but the idea is that I was saying earlier that the Pisone actually, it says that the way that the dream is going to be expounded, or going to be elucidated, or going to be explained. Actually, we say finalizes the nevuah, the prophecy. So in other words, if you have a dream but you don't understand it yet, we don't understand what it means, the prophecy has not yet been solidified. Once it's been explained, and you have a acceptable pisar, an acceptable explanation, then we say this prophecy becomes a prophecy. That's what's very interesting. We have to be careful how we explain dreams. We always try to do it in a positive way. Obviously, we don't want to do anything negative. Yosef Atzadik, of course, we know he says he was this great. Yosef was the one who was poiser the cholemus. He resolved these dreams, explained them. I heard someone said a very interesting Pirush that why Yosef had these dreams about the sun and the moon bowing down to him, and the stars, and then the sheaves of the sheaves of wheat, and then he goes and he tells his brothers. So someone was saying why would he do that? He had a dream that everyone's bowing down to him. Didn't he realize that they were going to hate him, right? So the rabbi said, well, no, that's exactly the point. He was coming to tell them, a dream is only a dream. It's only a prophecy when it's been interpreted. So you guys interpret the dream. You tell me what it means. I don't want to be the one to interpret my dream. You tell me. You interpret it another way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a king. Let's get out of this somehow. Whatever. I thought it was a nice insight.
Yeah, but then he should have said it. And maybe if he would have said interpret it differently.
Well, maybe he didn't want to tell them to interpret. Maybe interpretation has to come on the part of the interpreter. Maybe you can't tell someone you can't force someone to interpret your dream for you. Maybe their inspiration.
Interpret it in the way that you want.
Oh, maybe that's what he was saying. He was saying, "Here's my dream."
There's this whole thing with Yosef. I heard this class. It's chalom, machala or achlama,
and it depends. It's like לפתור חלומות, right? Like לפתור זה גם לתפור מציאות. So you saw your own reality by solving the dream.
Right.
לפתור,
I'm going to talk about that
and
too.
there's basically based on that you can either take a sickness and heal, or it can go either way.
Right. Okay. So I'm talking about Michael. So she's a very interesting point that comes from the Arizal, that we see that the word poter means poter. The word poter, which means to interpret. If you mix around the letters, you say it's the word tofer, right? Which is tofer. Tofer means to sow, right? So poter, poser, and tofer is almost the same word.
So the bottom.
So the top. So this means to interpret, right? Interpret. And the top one means to sow. Right? So poter and tofer. So I want to mention what okay. So why is it that Gullus is compared to a dream? It's like we're in exile, we're in Gullus, we are dreaming. We don't realize that we're dreaming, but as soon as Moshiach comes, and we're all going to open up our eyes, and we're going to say, "Whoa, I've been dreaming my whole life, and now I woke up." Why is Gullus considered a dream? What is dreamy about Gullus? So one of the fundamental ideas in a dream is an imaginative state where you're imagining things. We're told, the Gemara tells us there's different levels of waking up. So if you're sleeping, and someone says, Erica, and you say, what? So you could still be considered sleeping. There is a state of sleep that you could actually answer a question. You can answer yes or no questions, and it's still considered sleeping. It's a very mild level of sleep. I mean, it's kind of like we say, the Gemara says, nim v'lo nim. It's in Aramaic. It means sleeping but not sleeping. However, that state of sleep, so you're kind of sleeping, you can answer your question. I answer someone, like I see it every morning when I wake my kids up. Barrel, wake up. He's still sleeping. He's not awake. He's sleeping. Now, the way to know that someone is up is when they can answer a question that's logical. The minute you can say, Barrel, what's 1 + 1? And if he can say 2, then he's up, right? Because people are sleeping, can't. There's no logic there. It's only they can answer yes, and they can kind of say stuff, but they can't really. When it comes to processing information and calculating and understand, that is only when you're awake. So when we say the idea of dreams, so dreams are it's totally imaginary, no imagination. One of the things about a dream is that a dream, it says we see in dreams it can be total opposites. Meaning to say that you can dream about something that's so odd and so off that you never think about it in the first place. Like it says, you can be sleeping and you can dream that an elephant is going through the eye of a needle. And it's perfectly a valid dream because it doesn't have to make sense. I'm sure you guys have had, I've had some such wacky dreams, it just totally doesn't even make sense. I mean, it never happened to you, you wake up and something just totally odd and weird and crazy and you open up your lunchbox and your boss was there, or I don't know, or you had it, just what I'm saying, just weird, crazy stuff that doesn't make sense. So the Chassidus used the example of an elephant going into the eye of a needle and coming out. How can an elephant go through a little tiny hole? But in a dream, it can happen. So, in other words, dreams can connect opposites. The time of exile is compared to sleeping. And the reason is because when someone sleeps, their conscious mind is not working properly. Like I said before, you're sleeping, you can't even think 1 + 1 = 2, you can't think of that. You're out to lunch. Your mind is totally in a different. So your seichel, your intellect, has totally risen and gone away, and what you're left with is just leftover letters flying around your brain that don't have to make sense, and just your imagination. Your stomach is going to be digesting your food. Your organs are going to be working, but your higher levels of your intellect and your feelings, and especially the intellect itself, is not going to be there. It's going to be removed, which is why the Talmud tells us that you have to wash Negelasser in the morning. Because it says sleeping is 60th of the way to death, because your conscious energies are not really relevant or not revealed there. It's kind of they're kind of.
Half sleeping.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's why it says if you're kind of half sleeping, it's daytime sleeping. You might not be considered impure because you haven't slept long enough to be considered tummy. Exactly, which we say 60 breaths or shishim neshima, 60 minutes, or daytime, nighttime. It all depends, but. The thing about it is, I guess, that exile, the time of Galus that we are in now, we are in a time of sleeping, so to speak. That's why it says, look, it says in the Torah that it says, Ura lamasishin Hashem. Wake up, Hashem, why are you sleeping? It says there used to be people in the Holy Temple, they would go into the temple in the Beis HaMikdash, and they were called the Ma'oidim, and they would cry out every day, Ura lamasishin Hashem. Wake up, why are you sleeping, Hashem? And it says that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, I think it was, stop this. Rabbi Yochanan ben Gadol, he says because it didn't sound good. Like don't talk. It's not respectful to say that to Hashem. So it says Bitalas and Mo'irin. He stopped those people who were trying to wake up Hashem. So what does it mean? So in other words, Hashem of course doesn't sleep. Like we say, Lo Yanum, Lo Yishon Shem Yisrael. Hashem never slumbers, never sleeps. The Lord of Israel. But the state that we are in is a sleep-like state because we don't have the great understanding of godly things. We don't have a great understanding of Hashem altogether. We don't have a recognition. We don't have the feelings. We can't compare ourselves to people like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and even people in previous generations who really had true emotional feelings for Hashem, true understanding of Hashem. We are like little. Our intellects are very limited. Our grasping of godly things are very limited, and it doesn't really excite us that much either. We're more excited with our phones and with the politics and with our sushi, and we're not really. It's kind of like our brains are not working properly. We're kind of like just, our stomachs are working, but we're sleeping. We're sleeping. Mashiach's going to come. We're going to wake up and realize, whoa, wow, Hashem, God. It's like, and my entire life, and I'm a product of exile. I was born in Galus. I've lived in Galus. I was like sleeping, right? I was like dreaming. Hayinu kachomen. So here's what Shirley was saying before about. So we say interpreting a dream. Yosef at Tzaddik, it's interesting that we find Yosef is one of the 12 tribes, correct? Do we consider Yosef one of our forefathers? Do we say, well, the forefathers of the Jewish people, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, and Yosef? We don't say that, right? Yosef, we don't say Yosef Avinu. We don't say Yosef our father. Yosef is not our father. We only call these three men to be our forefathers and these 4 women to be our foremothers, or maybe you want to add in the other 2, Bill and Zilpah also. But for the most part, Yosef is not considered a forefather. But on the other hand, in Tehillim it says, the Jewish people are called the flock of Yosef. Son Yosef. Why are the Jewish people called the flock of Yosef? Well, Yosef was the first leader of the Jewish people, technically, because remember when Yaakov Avinu passes away, so now Yosef Tzaddik is the leader in Egypt. He is providing for them. He's leading them. But Yosef was the first Nasi, the first kind of like spiritual leader of the Jewish people. The reason why the Jewish people are called the flock of Yosef, that passage is referring to a time of exile. When the Jewish people are in exile, we become the flock of Yosef. Why? Because Yosef was the one who knew how to deal with dreams. Our forefathers were not so much into the dreams like Yosef was. Yosef was a dream interpreter. And that's what we need to do to get out of Galus. We need to find a positive solution, a pitaron of Galus. And that's caused by a good interpretation of a dream. So therefore, Chassidus tells us, the Arizal coming from the Arizal, that Yosef HaTzadik, he was able to go and interpret the dream. And what is it? Now let's just talk about it before I finish. What is it? The dream is connecting opposites, right? So Chassidus explains that how do we see this idea in our own lives? We are in exile, now we are in Galus, but our lives are total opposites, if you think about it. Look at everyone sitting here right now. Think on yourself. Everyone can think to themselves. Every Jew wants to connect to Hashem. Every Jew loves Hashem. Every Jew believes in Hashem. But at the same time, we are totally into other things. It's like we love Hashem, but we also are totally in love with not good things. We are very into other things, and it's a contradiction. In the times of the temple, it's like, well, no, it was like black and white. It's like there were tzaddikim, there were rishoyim, and that was it, very clear cut, like an elephant and a needle. You can't connect the two. In Galus, it's not a contradiction. A person can come and want to daven with true kavanah and true avos Hashem, loves Hashem, and at the same time, he could be totally in a different world and not good things. And it's not a contradiction. I mean, it is a contradiction. I remember when I was in Miami years ago when I first came, I was in Fort Lauderdale for a year, and my wife went on my baby, and then I came back to try to find a place to open a Chabad house, and I stayed at someone's house. Every morning, this guy, okay, he was in his 20s. Every night he was he would go to nightclubs. He was just really not in a good world. Like you could see, it was really not a good place. Every morning he woke up in the morning at 6 in the morning. He put a Rashi and a Rabbeinu Tam's film. Okay, he put a Rashi's and a Rabbeinu Tam's film.
Look,
2 pairs of tefillin. Okay, that means and he was dating a non-Jewish girl. I don't know if he was even dating. He was totally in a different non-kosher realm. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. And then I was watching this guy daven one morning. Like he said Shema. He was davening. He really believed in Hashem. He really loved Hashem. So like, how could you be doing this and doing that? It just doesn't make sense. In Miami, I used to visit the guy in Boca Raton. The guy was like, every day I put on the phone with him. He said he wanted to say Shema in English. He would say, Lord, or Israel, God is one, God is one, Lord is one, Lord, and he was like, Hashem, I love you. He really loved Hashem. I couldn't believe how my friend Ralph, he just loves Hashem so much. But then it came to his day-to-day life, and I don't even want to tell you in other words, it was 2 totally contradictory worlds. That's called the dream. When people are able to really love Hashem and really be doing something else and love that too, at the same time, that's a contradiction. It doesn't make sense. That's why it's a dream. And it comes along Yosef HaTzadik. In our generation, we have, of course, the Rebbe is the one who is doing this in our generation, right? Liftor et hachalom. We have to somehow explain this dream. We need to interpret this dream. So the Rebbe says, we have to interpret it in the positive sense. We have to reveal that the true essence of that Jew is loving Hashem. So Shirley was saying, Tofer Poser. He connects. So what was Yosef doing? He was sewing together. He was poter. He was sewing together the Geula into the Galus. He was revealing that he was somehow trying to interpret the dream of Galus to reveal the Geula, to reveal the light and the love of Hashem, which that's the true reality. And that's why we say that we are called the flock of Yosef in exile, because he's the one he's the one who's poter, who interprets the dream, who reveals the light in the dream and the truth. And this is why the Rebbe says the Rebbe says the leader of our generation. The Rebbe's name was Yosef also, or Yosef Yitzchak, because this was his job. This was what he did, and this is what the Rebbe does, really, in essence. And this is what we're all trying to do, to reveal the truth that our true selves are our love for Hashem and our feelings for Hashem, and that, of course, will be brought out and more accentuated in the Geula. Okay.